And welcome back to my painting lessons. We are going to pick up where we left off on our last video. Towards the end of my last video, which was about picking out the components that will make up your final result, I told you that I would be using Bob Ross's Liquid White. And what I did is I put a tiny amount on my canvas here, and then I took a paper towel and I blended it all in. I buffed most of it out, and now I'm just left with this very thin layer. And as you can see, it's already starting to match my photograph that I printed out. Then what I did is I measured one side, I measured in the middle, and then I measured on this side. So I painted my horizon line. Now I painted my horizon line out of oxide of chromium, raw umber, titanium buff, and the cadmium yellow hue. And that's going to be the color roughly of the water and then the sand too. I think I'll use that for both, although I noticed that the dark color of the water will be lighter than the lightest color of brown down here. So the rest of the colors that I have are white, cadmium lemon, yellow ochre, French ultramarine blue, Caucasian flesh tint, warm white, which is new. I'm excited about this warm white. And then I have my metallic shades. I have the copper, the in between copper and gold, and then gold. So these are everything that I'm going to use to make my painting. Now, it's always good to have a goal in mind of what you're going to be painting so that you can stay on track with what you're doing. And when you're painting, if you start out by working on one of your little goals and you end up over here, because sometimes it just naturally happens that you will move around, just go with it, but always try to finish what you set out to do, just so you can do it to completion and then you can move on. So my goals for this video, I want to block in the horizon line and down, only the brown. I don't want to do my reflection yet because I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. And all I know really, based off of my observation, is what and how I'm going to do the brown. So I'll wait to do the reflection until later. So I will block in the brownish, orangish green, and then one of my painting books, probably one about how to paint the ocean, it told me that for a more natural effect, you want to paint the horizon line of the sky and the ocean at the same time, and painting them wet in wet. So that means painting while both sides are wet and not dry. You can do it where your sky is dry first, or you can do your sky when your ocean line is dry, and that will be okay. But I have noticed that when I blend them during the same session, it does create a very natural, beautiful effect. So I will try to put down, I'm going to use this Caucasian flesh tone mixed with a little bit of the cadmium yellow hue. And I'm going to just place that where I see it. I see that color being used right here, all across the horizon line here, and then over here it's a little bit darker, and maybe I'll use some of the color for the water to do this shaded part right here. And then I might add some of my warm white with the cadmium lemon to do this area over here. Now, through observation, I have seen that this cloud right here and this cloud and probably right here, I think these are in the foreground. So what I want to do is I want to paint this lighter area first. See how there's like light parts right in here? I want to paint them first, and I want them to dry, because when I go over it with this cloud, having this be dry and doing this on top will make it stand out more. You'll be able to get the sense that it is really in front. Whereas if I were to paint this cloud at the same time as I painted the yellow stuff, I don't think I would get that effect. I think if I were to do it wet in wet, meaning when it's all wet at the same time, I feel like it would just look more as one layer, and that's not what I'm going for. So my goals are to block in the brown, to block in as much peach as I can, and then I will do some of the warm white with yellow, and then I'm going to let it dry. That's all I want to do for this session. So to get started, I'm going to dip my brush in my paint thinner, dab it off on the sides, and then I will take the Oxium chrome oxide, and add some titanium buff. You'll notice that I generally just mix the paint right on my brush. You can use a palette knife to combine them and then dip your brush in and go from there. But this way will work just fine for me. Until I get the color I want, I'll just mix and mix, and this is why I like to have a big flat canvas, because I like to spread out, and I need my space, I need my freedom. I think I'll add a little more cadmium yellow to get that orange. And it's getting there. I think I'll add some of this copper red that has some metallic in it. And I think that's the color that I'm going for the water horizon line. So now that I have my color mixed, I'm just going to go straight across. Mix up some more paint, a little bit of paint thinner for spreadability. And you'll just go back and forth. It doesn't matter that this is crooked. I will show you how to fix it. Okay, that's looking good. I probably make funny faces when I paint. I keep my mouth closed. It's not brown enough, but it's fine for now. So I'm going to add a little bit of brown paint thinner to my mixture. And then I'll just apply this. To here. Now I guess I already, with my brush, kind of mapped out the 1 inch of water, and then I did the sand here. So I guess I'll just keep doing that and add more paint thinner so it's easier to work with. And these are thin layers. When you're painting with oil, you will always want to paint lean to fat. And that means you paint the thinner layers first and you put the thicker ones on top. If you do it the other way around, you will most likely get some cracking or peeling. And I did my underpainting here in vermilion acrylic. You can always put oil on top of acrylic, but you cannot put acrylic on top of oil for the same reason that you will probably get cracking or peeling. And you want your work to last as long as possible. So I'm just going to work in very thin layers. Also because I don't really know what I'm doing. So if I put something on thinly, it's going to be a lot easier to take it off if I have to start over. And you will start over. If you paint long enough, you will find that you hate something and that you've worked really hard on. You may have put 10 hours into something and you look at it and you hate it and you're like, oh, if I'm going to finish this painting, I'm going to have to tear down what I've done, cover it up, and start from nothing. And it takes bravery to do that, but it's part of life. Sometimes you just have to start over from nothing and hope for the best. So that's what we're going to do. Now, for my observations, oh, I went a little too high there, but it's okay. For my observation, I know that there's a line down here, and it goes diagonal down to about here on my canvas. So it starts about up here, and then I'm not going to do a diagonal line. That's too obvious. And if you were in my last video, you know that I'm going to paint my reflection horizontally because water lies flat. So what I'm going to do to create this diagonal line is I'm going to, with horizontal lines, just go down and create the diagonal with horizontal lines. And I'm going to blend it because I want this to be a very soft line because I don't know exactly where it's going to go. I'll just blend everything down. I want a very thin layer of paint. I also want it to be uniform across the canvas. Lots of back and forth strokes. It's very relaxing and fun. Just mixing up a little bit of this color here because I went up a little too high there, so but it's okay. Then I will seamlessly blend these two colors together. And I'm gonna just keep going here with what I'm seeing. Paint thinner into my brown. Now this is just how I paint. If you want to put on thick paint or just get it all done the first try, I hope you can. I am not good at getting things done on the first try. I have to work and work and work and work and work and work. Blend, blend, blend. It takes me years to finish painting sometimes because I do other things. I tried real estate and that took up a lot of time, so I only got 2 paintings done in a year. And I want to get faster at it because this is what really makes me happy. Everything here will be done in horizontal lines. Going down. So we have that. I'm gonna maybe take a brush and just sort of sculpt and blend where I want it to be blended. You can remove paint this way. Since I work in really fine layers, this little scrub technique is how I erase. It's not the gentlest on my brushes, but that's why I use cheap brushes. I think that looks pretty good for now. So then I notice that down at the bottom left corner, we have all this good stuff. And it comes to about here. Once again, using the horizontal lines to create the vertical. I don't usually paint on an easel, so now I have this wooden thing to contend with. So I'm just going to move this over. think. And then I'm just gonna apply some paint. I think it comes to about there. And there's some little patches. I don't know if you can see the little patches on the image, but we're gonna do those. We're gonna create them with our brush strokes. Now this actually looks pretty good to me for a base layer. I see it, I like it, I'm not gonna overwork it, so I'm just gonna leave it. Now, what else do I notice? I'm just gonna blend this a little bit, I think. Blend that a little bit. So look at how much we've done already just in this painting lesson. Now also down here there are some dark cloud reflections that I'm going to go ahead and do. While I have this dark color mixed, I want to do as much as I can with it. I don't want to waste my paint, and I want to just get it done so I can move on to the next step. So I'm going to pick this up and, well, in order to do that, I'm going to have to erase some of the dark stuff, and I'll show you how to erase. You take a clean dry brush, dip it into your paint thinner, dab it off, and now you also want to let the paper towel absorb a little bit of the paint thinner so you're not dripping. You want it to still be kind of dry. So now if I notice the shape, it's like raised right here and then tapers. I have it tapering too soon, and I don't think it comes high enough over here. So I'm just going to raise it a little bit by taking my brush and just going like that in a line. And you can see how much sharper that became just by doing that. And this is great. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it helps you recreate where you want your stuff to go. So like that. And now, if we feel like it, we can take our brush with the brown and go in and blend it. So you have a mark right here. How do we erase? Just take that clean brush and scoop it right off. That's the thing about oil paint that I find so amazing, is you can really get to know how each little atom of oil paint is going to behave. And I work in the finest layers. Each little molecule, it really, really will affect the final result of your painting. I'm just going to go through. Do that. Now to me, this is a great great first layer. And I was going to do a little bit of brown down here in the clouds because it's reflected. I don't really know how I'm going to do it, so I'm just going to put some brown where I see it from here in the reflections, just to give me a base layer. I think that it comes to about there. Scrub it in. Can you see what I'm doing here? Adding this brown. But I think that's a little too much. I'm not really ready to have too much on there. So I'm going to erase some of it and just blend. When you paint with multiple layers the way I do, you want each layer to be seamless so that when you go over top, you will not have brush strokes from the previous layer. Okay, so we've done that. I like how it's looking. And now, the next step that I had set out to accomplish in this painting. Tuxie is my cat. She helps me with my videos and everything. So yeah. Next step is I'm gonna take the same brush that I did the brown with. I'm going to clean it off in my paint thinner. Just scoop it back and forth, dab it on the sides, and then I'm going to wipe it on this. Now, to create the peach that I see going across here that eventually fades into yellow, I'm going to use actually a little more paint thinner, and then I'm going to take this Caucasian Flesh tint. I'm just going to put it here, smooth it out, get a nice even consistency on your brush. And then I said I was going to use cadmium yellow. So I've mixed up this color. And I think that's a pretty good color to start my sky with. I'm going to take this brush, it's mostly clean. Clean it even more with paint thinner, dry it off. And to avoid my colors getting dirty or muddy, I'm going to just go across with my brush that has a tiny bit of paint thinner on it. Wipe it off. And you can see how that helps me really identify where it's going to go. Accidentally got a little bit over here. That's fine. Now I take my pink, my peach, and carefully go across. And it's okay if your brush runs out of paint. Just try to do one line. Load your brush. And then from this side, try to do one line all the way across. This is gonna just take some blending. And a little bit more paint thinner. Just go across, back and forth. It's gonna take a couple times. I mean, it might not take you a couple times. You might be able to do it on the first or second try. Me, though, I have to work at things very, very long and hard before anything looks how I want it to. Now I'm gonna take this brush, looks as good as any. Go back into my light water shade. I don't know if this is the right brush, but we'll make it be the right brush. And I just want to straighten this out. See, it can take a while, but we have all the time in the world to do this. So now upon looking at it, I don't know, that's not really peach enough. So I'm gonna go back in with my flesh tint and I'm gonna add some of this copper. That might be what I'm looking for. Maybe some of this gold. Yeah, I like to use metallics in my paintings because they give you something cool to look at. Just go over that. That's getting better. Still not peach enough. Okay. So I think because my underpainting is so bright that it's making the flesh tint not look anywhere near as bright as it is, but that's okay. I'm just gonna keep working. And now that I've established my horizon line, mostly, it's hard painting at an angle, but it's okay. So that looks pretty decent. Now, this color I'm going to place up through here so I can have these little highlights. Back into the peach and just sort of up where the light is. And just blend, 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 blend. This side over here is actually a darker peach, so I will do that. Over here, I can use my warm white with a little bit of cad lemon. Get a nice bright shade that I will use for this section going up. Some paint thinner. Cad lemon and warm white. My brush still has some peach on it, but that's okay. Just using horizontal brush strokes. I'm going to take this color all the way up to about here, actually. Blend. Always keeping the lines smooth. Warm white. Cad lemon again. And we're just going to go where that goes. Just going to place it where it goes. Where it stops, no one knows. Okay, we know where it goes. I need paint thinner. Anytime you notice your paint is not being spread smoothly across your canvas, you probably need paint thinner. Sometimes I get in denial about how much I need my paint thinner, so I'm just trying to do it. You'll see these, I'm doing these strokes because, like I said in my video, my observation video, I notice that these lines are really cool. So, you're welcome for that description. So I'm just going to stick with those and then buff them out horizontally to retain the horizon. You can scrub the paint in, you can just get it on there however you want, but try to always come back to the horizontal lines when you're painting a horizon. So I'll do a little more. It doesn't really matter up here as much because the cloud is going to be covering this layer. And this dark cloud right here, dark orange, is going to cover probably down to there. Yeah, then we have this peach. Now, if you want to erase, you can just take a dry brush. You don't have to dip it in paint thinner if you don't want to. There will be times when you just want to remove a little bit of paint. I don't know if you can see that. I'm painting at night with light, so I don't know. I know it works better during the day, but I'm a night painter. I'm a night creature. So let's have a get with that. So I've removed that paint. I'll just dip my brush in there and get it dirty. It's okay. Now, I really want to remove more paint, so I'm going to take another brush. See how it just comes off? You can put the color on with brushes, you can take it off. You have total control. You just need to know what to do and how to do it. and then you'll be all on your own. Actually, if I take off some of this color that I made, the vermilion underpainting will show through and will be the peach that I need. And I just smooth everything out. I don't really know where to go from here, so I'm just going to blend this line out a little bit more. Buff this out. And blend it all together to make one seamless layer. I'm observing. So I think that will be what I do for now. I wanted to show you where I would start a painting, and I told you that my goals were to establish the dark areas, the water line, the horizon line, and to lie down the first base layer of peach. Now I'm actually going to do one more thing, just a little bit more to show you. I'm going to take the warm white and buff it out on the palette, so I just have a very little small amount on my brushes. Now, because I told you that I want to make this cloud on top of this light stuff, so I'm just gonna, for extra contrast, go in and make it more bright. So it'll have that nice contrast when I go to do it. So that is it for this lesson. I'm gonna let this dry, and then I will come back to it and we'll continue from there. I hope you learned a lot. I know I did, and it has been a pleasure showing you how I make my paintings. Right? See you. Bye.